Xin chào. In today's journey, we're going to unravel the wonders of the Vietnamese language, discovering what makes Vietnamese truly unique, and finding out what other languages will help you learn it. And I will share my personal experiences and insights that may just be the secret shortcut you've been looking for to master this beautiful language. But first, let me share with you how beautiful the country is. I have ridden motorcycles all over Vietnam for a total of around 13,000 kilometers. I just finished a university tour in Saigon, Vietnam. Witnessing firsthand the transformation of Saigon over the past decade has been nothing short of spectacular. The city's evolution is breathtaking. Vietnam is located on the Indochina Peninsula in Southeast Asia. It has a long land border of 4,550 kilometers, bordering China to the north and Laos and Cambodia to the west, and the Eastern Sea or South China Sea of the Pacific Ocean to the east. Despite its modest size being 29 times smaller than the United States, Vietnam's heart beats loudly with a population of about 100 million souls. This places it among the giants, the top 15 most populous countries on the planet. But the true wealth of Vietnam doesn't just lie in its numbers. It's in the incredible tapestry of cultures it hosts. Imagine a country where 54 officially recognized ethnic groups live, each with its own rich tapestry of traditions, languages, and stories. At the heart of this cultural kaleidoscope is the Ging or Viet group, making up about 85% of the population, who live in the bustling cities and scenic coastal areas, and their language is Vietnamese, the language that unites the whole country. Vietnamese is part of the Austroasiatic language family, which is a diverse group of languages spread across Southeast Asia and parts of South Asia. This family includes over 100 languages, such as Khmer, the language of Cambodia, and Mon, spoken in parts of Myanmar and Thailand. Vietnamese is by far the most spoken language within this family. It surpasses many times the combined total of speakers of all the other Austroasiatic languages. Scientific evidence shows that learning your first tonal language will restructure your brain, making it easier to learn other tonal languages. So don't be afraid. It's not as hard as you think. Vietnamese has 6 distinct tones, as is generally spoken in the northern part of the country. And let's see if you can compete with my student in this tonal challenge.
Vietnamese language challenge. Let's start. Okay, let me start from the middle. So good you there too?
It's just a fun video that she made. Actually, the tones in Vietnamese are not that hard to learn. Personally, I think they are a little more challenging compared to Chinese and Thai tones. But the appropriate tone is clearly indicated by a simple system of diacritics, unlike the complicated Thai system and the lack of any indication about the tone in Chinese written with characters, as you can see here. Let's listen to the tones that distinguish the meaning of these words. By the way, me is from the north of Vietnam.
A ghost.
Ma.
Mother.
Ma.
Butt.
Ma.
Tomb.
Ma.
Code or horse.
Ma.
Rice or seedling.
Ma.
Vietnam, alongside Korea and Japan, has been profoundly shaped by Chinese culture, particularly through the lens of language. This connection primarily stems from the use of the Chinese writing system at diverse points in their histories. The influence of Chinese vocabulary, most akin to that of modern-day Cantonese, has woven its way deeply into the linguistic fabric of these countries. Over 50% of the Vietnamese vocabulary is of Sino-Vietnamese origin, introduced over centuries of Chinese rule and cultural exchange. These words are used extensively in formal, academic, technical, and literary contexts. Sino-Vietnamese vocabulary retains pronunciations that are often closer to those of Cantonese and other Southern Chinese dialects or languages than to Mandarin, reflecting the historical periods of the most intense cultural exchange. Likewise, Japanese and Korean have the same degree of Sino vocabulary, making it easier for Vietnamese and Chinese speakers to learn these languages. Having studied Japanese, Chinese, and Korean before starting to study Vietnamese greatly helped me in terms of vocabulary. If you already know one of these languages, pay close attention to how the characters are pronounced in Vietnamese, and that will allow you to recognize many words and even make educated guesses about how to say some words in Vietnamese if those words are of Sino origin. Now, let's take a look at the grammar. Vietnamese is an analytical language in the sense that the syntax and the relationship between words is expressed in terms of word order rather than with prefixes and or suffixes. As in English, it has prepositions before the noun. In the house, chong nha. Unlike English, adjectives come after the noun. Big house is nhà lớn. But like in English, it has a subject-verb-object order. So, I eat rice is tôi ăn cơm, where tôi is I, ăn, eat, and cơm is rice. Vietnamese, similar to Chinese, Thai, Lao, Indonesian, Malay, does not have tense, as I explained in a video comparing these languages. These languages also share some other common grammatical characteristics, so I will borrow a part of that video to explain it here. There is no tense indicated in the verb. Instead, they utilize contextual clues and aspect markers. Let me explain what context markers are. There are elements in a sentence that give us clues about the timing of the action based on surrounding information. For example, they can use time phrases like yesterday or tomorrow to indicate when an action occurs. For example, I go, or more naturally in English, am going, to the store. I went to the store yesterday. Tôi đi đến cửa hàng. Hôm qua tôi đi đến cửa hàng. He went to Japan. He hasn't gone to Japan yet. He has been to Japan. Đã, chưa, đã từng. Anh ấy đã đi Nhật Bản. Anh ấy chưa đi Nhật Bản. Anh ấy đã từng đi Nhật Bản. Now, the next big thing we will examine is how these different Asian languages express future actions, desires, and intentions with respect to the idea of going to Japan. Muốn, tôi muốn đi Nhật Bản. Necessity, I have to or need to go to Japan. In Vietnamese, we have gan phải, tôi gan phải đi Nhật Bản. What about intentions? For example, I intend to go to Japan. Dự định, có ý định. Tôi dự định đi Nhật Bản. Now for future actions, I will go to Japan. In Vietnamese, we use sẽ, tôi sẽ đi Nhật Bản. Now for ongoing actions, like I'm going to Japan right now, đang, tôi đang đi Nhật Bản ngay bây giờ. The lack of plural forms for inanimate nouns. In many Asian cultures and languages, including Japanese and Korean, there is a greater focus on the substance of things rather than viewing them as discrete objects. This perspective emphasizes the continuous, collective, or general nature of entities. In contrast, Western languages and cultures might be more inclined to categorize and differentiate objects as distinct entities, leading to clear linguistic distinction between singular and plural forms. In many Asian languages, the need to distinguish between singular and plural may not be as pronounced. Next, we have the non-use of to be with predicate adjectives. In these and many other Asian languages, the use of the copula or linking verb such as to be varies depending on whether the sentence has a predicate adjective or a predicate nominative. For example, in the sentence, you are beautiful, the word beautiful is a predicate adjective. These languages do not use the equivalent to be in the sentence. While in the case of you are a beautiful woman, the word woman is a predicate nominative and the equivalent of to be is used. Okay, let's take a look at some examples. You are beautiful versus you are a beautiful woman. Vietnamese, bạn đẹp. Bạn là một người phụ nữ xinh đẹp. La here is equivalent to you are. Well, I've saved the best for the last, which is the use of pronouns. To me, after studying more than 45 languages, I found Vietnamese has the most complicated pronoun system. Vietnamese interpersonal communication relies heavily on the use of kinship terms to address others, reflecting the culture's emphasis on hierarchy and respect. For example, an older man might be addressed as Chu, younger uncle, or Bác, older uncle, regardless of the actual familial relationship. Similarly, younger individuals can be referred to using terms equivalent to brother or sister. For example, Anh for an older brother, or Chị for an older sister. Again, depending on the relative age and social positions of the individuals involved. It is even difficult for Vietnamese people.
They want a language that only learning how to say hello is extremely complicated comparing to hi, hola, ni hao, ni hao. In Vietnamese, it's another level. He is always my brother, so em chào anh ạ. He looks so young just like a student ạ. Chị chào em, cô chào ông. Cháu chào bà, cháu chào chú ạ, cháu chào cô ạ. I'm not that old, how dare you call me cô? You have to call me chị, you know?
Finally, let's talk about choosing a dialect to learn. There are three major dialects in Vietnam. Northern Vietnamese represented by Hanoi.
Tôi sẽ được gặp gỡ các chuyên gia để cùng họ có thêm nhiều kinh nghiệm mua sắm.
Thực ra thì trang phục nó phụ thuộc vào công việc của bạn nữa. Tại vì là một công việc của một designer thì nó có vẻ là nó rất là bận bịu và phải đi lại rất là nhiều, nên cái trang phục chủ yếu thường là quần jeans và áo.
Is often considered the standard as it is used in official settings and media. It has fewer vowel variations compared to other dialects and is usually the easiest for foreigners to imitate. The advantages include that it is good for engaging in formal contexts in the north, understanding national broadcasts, or for professional purposes within Vietnam and for international communication. Note that most singers in Vietnam, no matter where they are from, sing with a northern accent and pronunciation. Next, we have the Central Vietnamese dialect, represented by the ancient city of Hue.
Linda đã mơ ước được làm một hoa hậu Việt Nam. Vào mùa hè năm trước, mơ ước này đã trở thành sự thật. Một năm cũng đã trôi qua mau, nhưng em sẽ không bao giờ quên cái hôm đi thi năm trước, hồi hộp.
It is known for its distinctive tone system, which can differ significantly from the standard 6 tones, and it has certain vowel and consonants that are unique to this region. The speech tends to be more musical and monophonic. The advantages of this dialect is that it offers a deep dive into Vietnam's cultural heartland, including historical sites and traditional Vietnamese culture. It is a challenge even for native speakers from the north and the south. But if you learn it, it will make you truly unique. Then the third dialect we have is Southern Vietnamese, represented by Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon.
Cảm ơn anh nha. Tối nay đúng 8:30 nha. Tính em làm gì chứ? Đi chơi là em đúng giờ lắm á. Đừng để em chờ nha. Thôi em về nha. Bye bye nha.
Ăn thì ăn, bán thì bán. Bộ ngồi đi ăn không coi sách hả? Mà mất cuốn nào tôi trừ lương anh.
Sao mà kỳ vậy? Chính cô rủ tôi lên đây ngồi ăn cơm. Vậy nếu mất sách thì cô phải chịu sau đền tôi, đúng không?
This dialect features a more relaxed tone system where tones merge. It's known for its vowel-rich pronunciation and the tendency to end words with a trailing vowel sound. The language there reflects the dynamic and open culture of the South, incorporating words and phrases from foreign languages. Learning the Southern dialect is advantageous for those looking to engage with the business and economic hub of the country, Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon, and the Mekong Delta region as a whole. It is also beneficial for travelers and expatriates who wish to integrate into the local communities in the South. While the structure of the language and its grammar remain relatively consistent across the dialects, vocabulary variations can sometimes be significant, enough to confuse speakers from different regions. Comparing the North to the South, anecdotal observations suggest that the majority of vocabulary is shared, with differences perhaps in the range of 10 to 20% for everyday use, focusing on specific terms that vary by region, like names for certain foods, household items, and local expressions. This figure is a rough estimate and can vary widely depending on the topic of conversation and the speakers' backgrounds. Mutual intelligibility between the northern and southern speakers remains high, with speakers being able to understand each other without significant difficulty adjusting for pronunciation and some specific regional terms. Embarking on the journey to learn Vietnamese is not just about mastering a new language. It's an open door to a rich cultural experience and a deeper connection with one of the world's most enchanting countries. Vietnam's breathtaking landscapes, vibrant culture, and warm people make every step of this linguistic journey worthwhile. One great way to get started is by downloading and using the Ling app. It is fun and engaging. The repetition of the phrases in the lessons will help you get used to the tones and remember new vocabulary and sentence structure. And if you're interested in finding out how a polyglot masters multiple languages, check out this video where I share my journey of learning 30 languages. In it, I discuss various learning strategies and methods that can help you achieve your language learning goals. Thank you for listening and see you in the next video.